Hello, welcome. Good to be here. Round 17 against the Dockers is upon us. It's a Sunday game. It's the graveyard shift up at Optus Stadium, the last game of round 17. And there's all of a sudden a little bit in this, a little spark. I wouldn't say it's a spark until we potentially win this game, but a little opportunity has just come before the Carlton Football Club. As it sits right now, we're 1.5 or whatever, 2 games out of the 8. And I think this week presents with it an opportunity. I wouldn't say to get a scalp, but I think Freo away is a much different prospect than Freo in Melbourne. So they're a much better side, the Dockers, when they play at Optus. There's no doubt about that. And going there is not the easiest task. And I think when I think about the Dockers, they've probably had moments of disappointment, just like us throughout the season. They've obviously won more than what we have. But I think overall, as a Dockers fan, I don't know, maybe if there's a few of you watching, they would sense a little bit of disappointment, particularly early in the season with some of their performances. And I think, obviously us, we've been disappointing for the majority of the year, I would say. So we've won a couple in a row. We beat the Suns, we beat the Hawks. Nothing to get too excited about. But I think it's more about the manner in which we did it. I wouldn't say that the opposition didn't put pressure on us. I would say the way in which we have won our previous 2 games has just been all about our application and our intensity at the contest and our ability to work for each other and play a bit more of a selfless brand of footy. So that is all going to mean absolutely nothing if we go and lose poorly this Sunday. So that's why I've got a little bit more juice this week. And I don't give a shit. We're a chance. We're a chance at everything, anything we want to do this year. The season's not dead. That's where I stand. It's not over. I wouldn't expect anybody inside those 4 walls to act, think like it's over. So I don't see why we should either. I think, if anything, this is an opportunity to provide a platform to get us back in the hunt. But I don't want to look too far ahead. It's really all about getting the Dockers in Perth. Tough task. So I'm hoping that what we've seen over the last 2 games can translate against a better team. And the Dockers, I think, are just one of those teams in the mix for the finals. I think they had a really good year last year. I think a lot of us might have had them in that top 6 bracket this year. So, yeah, they're going to be a tough task. But I know we're capable, and I know we've got some form against them over there. What I also know is that we have a really strong supporter base in WA. So I expect that to, I wouldn't say nullify the noise of affirmation, that is Optus Stadium, but I would expect our supporters to show up and bring the heat and bring the noise. Now, yesterday we did the story of Fremantle, and we've had some pretty good wins against them over the last 3 or 4 years, and this week would be no different if it were to happen. There's a few elements, though, to this week, and one of the elements of this week is the Ruck situation. So it's hard to get a read on the situation because I didn't expect Tom and Mark to be injured. I don't think anybody did. It seemed to have just come out of nowhere, whether it was a knock or something happened at training, but they're both battling knee injuries. I think Peto's got a PCL issue and Tom's got an MCL issue. So not ideal. That left us with Jack Silvani and Lewis Young as the Ruck combination last week against, Ned Reeves and Lloyd Meek. This week's a totally different proposition. It's Sean Darcy and Luke Jackson. And these are probably the second best duo in the league when it comes to teams with 2 bona fide ruckmen. So it's not going to be easy if we're going into the game without Tom or Mark. So that's an area of concern for me. I feel like our defense is well suited for the Fremantle talls. The smalls might be a bit of an issue, but I do feel like we're in a better position on paper anyway. And I think the back 6 back 7 has been pretty solid for the majority of the year, so I don't worry about that too much. Freo's defenders are good. They're good. I like what they've got going on down there. I think Luke Ryan, Hayden Young, Alex Pearce, these types, they'll keep us honest. And Freo play a pretty disciplined game style. From what I've watched of them this year, they seem to have tried to implement something similar to what we have this year with that controlled tempo game style, the short kicking game style. I find when they open it up, they're a much better side. They're so much more exciting to watch. And that's where I draw similarities to the two of us. So I don't know where the game will go. I just don't think right now we're a team that can play 4 quarters of controlled, short kicking football. We are an exciting team. We have weapons. And when we play to our strengths, we're very hard to match up with, especially when we play on instinct and especially when we just go for it. So I'm really curious about our mentality going into this game in the way we approach it. And I hope that we're not sitting here on a Sunday night or Monday morning saying, we played a relatively better side and we weren't able to take the game on or anything like that. No, they've just got to go for it. So the hope is that the confidence has been found and it can flow on from there. The other selection questions which we'll get to include Matty Cottrell, who was suspended, who will return from a suspension. Now, whether he comes back into the side or not is the question. Do you drop an Ed Curnow and bring in a Cottrell and play him on that wing half forward? George Hewitt looked pretty sharp as the sub, but he was the sub. I still think George Hewitt's in our best 22. I think he's a best 22 player. I think he does a lot of those selfless team acts that are what makes a good side good, and a great side great. So I still am a big believer in George Hewitt. I think he just needed to get over the injury concerns that he had. So I'm a big advocate for George coming in and playing the full game. I like the idea of Cottrell. I think we'll need some pace and some dash and some dare if we're any chance of beating the Dockers this week. And, then there's the other story, which is Charlie Curnow's 100th game and Nick Newman's 100th game. Now, both of them are incredible stories for different reasons. I think Nick Newman represents just the hard work, the hustle, the grind. He strikes me as someone who doesn't have an entitlement when it comes to the team, plays the team role, does the team thing, gets involved in the club, off the field. From all reports, is just a great clubman. And so for him to play his 100th game, incredible achievement. He's had some shocking injuries that have sort of destabilized his consistency and his continuity from a playing standpoint. So it's a great achievement for Nick and for Charlie. Well, very similar in that the injuries that have destabilized his consistency of playing games. And it's so crazy how the world works and how it all comes full circle. And, I think it was 2018 or 2019. No, it was 2019 when we played the Dockers over in Perth. This was the game that I think Murph kicked the game-winning goal. Charlie hurt his knee that game. I think that might have been one of the first times he had hurt himself with a collision injury. And, he comes back and he plays his 100th game against the club at the ground where it happened. And so it's pretty poetic. There were not just times, but I think there were years where the sentiment around Charlie was, don't talk about Charlie as if he's going to return. And if you are going to talk about Charlie as if he's going to return, don't think he's going to be the same player that he ever was. And I think he certainly has done that and then some. So it's an incredible achievement for Charlie and for Nick. And, milestone games have not been kind to us for the most part. So, but I think for these two in particular, not that you need milestone games to get up for a game of footy when the season's on the line. That should be more than enough. But, I think they can give you a little bit extra, a little bit more. They can generate a little bit more positivity around the group, a little bit more togetherness. You're celebrating your teammates and, you're looking to get them involved. So I'm excited for what could be on Sunday. That's the main thing. I'm actually pretty G'd up for it, not going to lie. I think minimal changes are needed from my standpoint. Keep it simple. I'm hoping that at least one of Tom De Koning or Mark Pitternet are available for Sunday. And, you know, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but fuck, if we do it this Sunday, just ignites things again. I've started to just notice people start to come back and watch the content. You just notice when people give up and then a little bit of hope. And so, yeah, I mean, mate, there's 8 games left. Like, there's plenty of time left to do something and get some momentum going this season. But they've left the margin at the most minimal it could possibly be. So we just get to Sunday and we hope for the best, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, we'll see you on Sunday for the watch along. See you on Sunday night for the fan cams. As always, can't wait for the football. Let me know what you think about this week. Where are you positioned? Where's your mindset at? Have you come back, or I think a lot of us gave up, but have you come back and you've given them one more chance? Let me know in the comments how you see this week, what your thoughts are, and we'll go from there. Go Blues.